Hello, viewers. Welcome to another edition of Showbiz Today. And we are privileged to have one of the veterans who has been with us from the 80s, the 90s, and still very active in the 2000s. We are privileged to have Mr. David Dontoh on the show today. Welcome, Mr. David Dontoh.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are not in normal times, as the president says. And so I would want to begin with this question. How are you coping in this COVID season?
We are coping very well, especially for those of us in the creative industry, because they say life is not virtual, it's real.
Okay.
However, in these times, we communicate with ourselves many a time virtually.
Sure.
And it is us who actually control that virtual medium, film, theater, whatever, captured and communicated electronically for people to really get into contact and talk and all that. So if we are not in normal times, for us, we don't see it because we in every situation we find a way around it as creative people, and we believe that we'll be able to find a way around it because viruses and bacteria have been with us since creation, and we have to learn to live with them. It is there, if you live at the beach, you walk in sand, the sea waves and things will hit you. You have to learn to live with it. So the same way, we have to learn to live with the COVID-19. How do we do it? It's the only industry that virtually employs every other professional, apart from politicians. Film really brings us back to our humanity. The footballers will tell you, bring back the love. But film actually brings back humanity. We bring back ourselves to ourselves.
Okay.
Get us to understand ourselves. And for which reason, almost every aspect of the arts find itself in film. So we have the performing arts finding itself in film. We have the visual arts finding itself in film. We have the literary arts finding itself in film.
Okay.
And these are the three major blocks of all the arts or creative world. And so for us in the film industry, our work has been left in limbo for many years. When this Film Act 935, was passed by the previous Mahama administration in 2016, the whole industry stakeholders were so happy that something like this had happened. However, it started gathering dust until 2019. Current president, then president of the NPP government at that time, decided to inaugurate because the act had been passed and had been assented by the president.
Okay.
The president decided to inaugurate the people who made up the authority. A lot of people were so happy about it. We were all very happy about it. We also felt like, for once, that recognition, has been given us, and so from there we'll be able to really make strides as to whatever we need to do to really develop this industry. But then we realized that because perhaps some of our people went and picketed at the ministry, it was a kind of stopgap measure of a sort to stop the stakeholders from, quote unquote, keeping quiet. So the president inaugurated the film authority, because when it was inaugurated, we didn't have a budget.
Okay.
We didn't have an office. We didn't have any material or office equipment or anything to work with. As I speak, we are yet to receive government vote from the normal budget.
Okay.
We are yet to have offices.
Oh, after almost 2
years.
Virtually.
Yeah, we are patching. We have our board meetings at the Bureau of Ghana Languages conference room, and that's it. To it. Nobody has
no commitment.
A PC. Nobody has anything. Nothing. And so we decided that yes, that is where we have found ourselves. But does not mean we will fold our arms and sit there and watch, when help will come. So we decided to help ourselves by, first of all, inaugurating the classification committee. Classification committee has a lot to do with classifying what appears for public consumption on television and also in cinema theaters and other theaters, whether open air or whatever. So we, as an authority, thought that the classification committee really serves very good purpose of raking in some little monies, because people come to classify whatever material they put on television, and they pay some, small monies for the services, and also, for the fact that they have been given that license and permit to reach out to Ghanaian, viewers around the world. We were, finding it very difficult to understand what it is that must be done, in the absence of these resources. We're having meetings and we sit through 4 hours, 5 hours of meeting, and we'll drink a bottle of water. Yes, the board. And it was because we didn't have any money anywhere we could lay hands on. The former censorship board that was under the Information Services Department of Ministry of Information could not hand over any money, so to speak, of films that they had actually classified over the years for which they took monies. They were not able to declare anything, for us, because by the act, we actually are supposed to assume that overall administrative control of film industry in Ghana. And so anything that was there serving the industry before we came to office, obviously must, come here under our ambit. And we've not had that privilege of getting anything from them. In fact, we were only fortunate that Ghana Tourism Authority under Kwesi Ajiman, because he also now knows that a lot of tourism can be promoted through film. And so if he is able to help the industry to find its feet, they will eventually benefit. So they give us, some monies to pay for our meetings, certain allowances for our meetings, and some few other things, meeting with the Public Services Commission, explaining the organogram and its administration under the authority and all those things. So we have actually struggled, if I will put it that way. I understand for so many public institutions or organizations, till date they have been operating for 10, 15 years. Their airlines have not been passed, but ours is such that we cannot work without the passing of the airline, because the airline facilitates a lot of our work. Okay. So much work can be done when the airline is passed, because a lot of licenses and permits are renewed annually. Okay. And you cannot take it to Parliament every year for it to be done. It's only when an airline is operational that can help us do all those things. So we are really fighting to put so many things in place. We did some training courses. We've also actually done some pitching. Pitching is actually people bringing production project proposals. That could be put on television or whether on the internet or whatever, and make monies for it. So pitching was done in collaboration with DSTV and GIPC, Ghana Investment Promotion Center. It's been quite successful. Some 25 projects have been shortlisted, and out of that 25, 10 are going to be, quote unquote, bankrolled from sponsorship that DSTV and GIPC are actually working on to raise for us to do those things. So we have actually been doing a lot of things out of nothing. And that is why for some of us we think that we have to look at, the establishment of such, public institutions, especially for film, because it was when we took office that we realized that as a country called Ghana, we don't have national film archives. All the films that have been shot since 1948, when Sean Graham helped the Gold Coast Film Unit to be set up at present day, Ghana Films, where TV3 is. We have not archived all the films that have been made in this country, even though there are some that were kept by the colonial master in rank laboratories in London, which are still there. But when they left and we took over, especially when we entered the video era, a lot of material, GBC archives got bent, but not all. But what is left till today, we do not know what was left or what is left for us to, digitize them into the National Film Archives. Films that have been made. A lot of people think that when you build archives, people will pirate archives. No, it's not so, because films, exploitation of film crosses 50 years when you lose control of your copyright right to the royalties. And so you can market a film that you made this year for the next 50 years. Meaning, if people make film and they think about making the money just now and leaving it, you go on DSTV or some of these big television channels, they show TNT. TNT are old films that are 50, 60, 70 years old films that they still show, because they think people can learn a lot of things from them, and also it will teach new people in the industry where the industry has come from till date. And so for a lot of us in the industry, we think that it is one big minus to the industry, National Film Archives, both celluloid and video, that has been out there in the public domain for people to experience, both on television and in the cinema theaters or other theaters around the country. We have to have that, and we don't have it. And once you don't have it, a lot of things can get lost to so many people, even producers themselves, because after 20 years, 30 years, he himself who produced the film will not have a copy. But if you have digitized National Film Archives, they can come there and we'll make a copy for you for a little fee. So we can even make money from the National Film Archives. And many such other things. Film village became a big issue. But film village is actually a concept. If they talk about film village, it's not a particular village as we know of a village. Film village, can be spread across. That is where America, we had the studio system, because you cannot have everything in one place. You can't have a film village where there is a forest and there is the sea. But we make films in the forest, we make films at sea, or in the sea, or in water bodies. And so you cannot have, for instance, a film village in one particular area. There could be forest there, minus the sea. There could be sea there, minus the forest, and so on and so forth. So we need to really spread it, and it's even good for us, because that's what will make the industry. Our industry is composite. It's quite holistic to a point where so many people actually work into the industry. So we can actually spread it out. We have one, film village in, let's say, Wa. You have one in Damongo. You have one in Tamale. You have one in Navrongo. You have one in Hohoi. You have one in Keta. You have one in Kumasi. You have one in Accra. You have one in Cape Coast, Takrady, Enche. Then you're talking about making a film that tells the entirety of the story or the diversity of our culture. Because the background to every film is the culture. Once you miss that one, you are not telling a Ghanaian story. And that is why at times you watch a film made in Ghana, but if you are a foreigner, you won't be able to label where that film comes from. Unlike when you watch an Indian film, nobody will tell you that you are watching an Indian film. You watch a Chinese film, nobody will tell you that you're watching a Chinese film. That identity is missing in a lot of our films, and it's because people are restricted to, for financial reasons, are restricted to certain small areas. And that is why, if you watch some of our films, from bedroom to living room to veranda to kitchen to, the whole film it's too enclosed. And film is open. Film, you must see as far and wide as possible. And that is why we call it film. Finest images, limitless medium. That's why we shoot film even in space, at sea, underwater. in underground, mines. Films can be shot anywhere and everywhere. And so that restriction must not be there. Well, last week I was complaining to some director that our industry suffers a lot because a lot of outdoor filming cannot be done and done well in Ghana because, one, the city is not decorated. We don't have iconic statues, big, nice images of Ghanaian historical icons. We don't have good, beautiful lawns with flowers. We don't have, unless you go to Parliament House or you go to International Conference Center or some specific choosing or to Supreme Court. Is that all Ghana? No. And street lighting is so poor in the city of Accra, which is the capital. And so you can't do a film in Accra city unless some specific areas, Oxford Street, some small areas that you can actually film there because there are street lights in the night. And that's not happen with film. Film happens both day and night. Stories don't happen only in the day. So these are some of the limitations that the industry actually has been going through, and we think that as a country we must actually think of film as something that is good enough to prompt us to look at what is called beauty. Our cities are not beautiful. A lot of them are unkempt, if I may put it that way. You look at drains in Accra and you feel like vomiting. It doesn't speak well of us. And in these times that health is so important, you cannot afford to have the Korle Lagoon. You go to Holland and you see how such water bodies have been transformed and they make monies for the metropolitan authority or the city authorities. It's so sad that these things should happen, but they should not happen. Look at theater; it's virtually dead. Concert party is virtually gone. TV theater is not there. How do you see yourself as a Ghanaian? Because we mirror society to itself. What people do, good or bad, can only be seen when they watch films. But now, telenovelas from India, from Brazil, from Spain, from China, that is the only country that virtually every country's telenovela can appear on our television. And we even go to the extent of dubbing Tree language on it. But we forget that the language, the spoken language, it only helps us to understand the story. What you're actually learning is the culture of those people. And how do you promote your economy when you get kids learning cultures of other people? Just a couple of months back, people were organizing parties in Kumasi and wearing sari, ladies, Indian sari, because they have gotten used to ganga and yeye and kunkumbaga and all those things. And that is the power of this medium. Film is a very powerful medium. In fact, politicians will not have to worry their heads so much if film were given that leverage to really stand on, to work, because one film can actually do all the campaign you want to do around the country. Just do that film, or have all the ingredients of your manifesto in that film. Buy airtime, stream it live, and get people to watch on television and also watch it on the internet. And your message is right there. It's not gone anywhere. And people will buy into it if it is very well made, very good melodrama or comedy or serious drama. That makes it so exciting, has so much suspense that people want to see and find out. You can just do a 13 episode or 26 episode season of drama series that tells your story that is in your manifesto. It can easily be done. And when these things do happen, that is when those of us in this industry get work to do. That's why initially I said that this COVID times, when people got locked in their rooms, when the lockdown came, how did people survive? Watching television, watching Netflix, and that's the work we do. So that should tell you that if there is any solution to the problem, we will be the lead in solving the problem that we find ourselves in at the moment. The discomfiture of COVID-19 we can actually solve it because that is our work. We create the drama, shoot the drama, and put it out there on television. Put it out there on the internet, stream it live, get people to watch. And in so doing, learn how to protect themselves because it has come to live with us. And viruses and bacteria have always been there. And they will not go after COVID-19. In fact, Nipah virus is already there, and some new others that are coming. So we are not going to actually live in a world minus bacteria and the viruses. So we have to now create a culture that will enable us to live within the confines of this era, this situation that we find ourselves in. And we are the ones who do that. We live in a limitless medium. Things that presidents can do, filmmakers do. Things that chiefs and kings and queens can do, filmmakers do.
But are you getting the resources?
Yeah, you see, getting the resources is the problem. Getting the resources is the problem because we first of all do not have so much material available for us to really fall on. So that, for instance, I want to make a story on Tohazi the Red Hunter. This man who reigned in the Dagbon area for many years, fought against Somalia and the Wera Jakpa. Where do you get that news? Now, in fact, until very recently, I heard they were doing history in the schools. So if you're not doing history, how do you make films of such iconic figures? We have, until today as I speak, Ghana has not made a film on Kwame Nkrumah, has not made a film on J.B. Dankwa, has not made a film on Yasantua, has not made a film on the Ho Kofi, has not made a film on Kakuaka, Ashangmo. These are iconic, historic figures of our country that will let people know where we have come from. Togbesri, who took the airways from Ngoche, from King Agokole to Ghana, have we made a film on him? No. And that is where we lack so much. And that is why the youth always have no choice but to look outside because what they would want to see is not available. It's not available. So you go to National Archives and you want to get facts about these things. It's not there. I hope graphic showbiz has archives.
No, we do.
Yes. So that, when graphic showbiz started, I remember the first 2 years, almost every other week, I was in the edition, so that if you want to do a biography on me, for instance, you only need to go there about my activities in the 80s and the 90s to the 2000s. Were all captured, partly in graphic showbiz, and some also in graphic. And for a lot of us who like reading, we cry so much because we know we don't get to read material that has been combed out of history to date. So much is only just looked at only of contemporary world, what is going on, what is happening now. But we forget that what is going on, what is happening now, has its roots in history. It has become like this because it started like something else some time ago. And to continue from here into the future, because even now, we are not documenting. No document. Kwame Nkrumah, who did a bit of filming of his travels, are what we have. Rollins did Ghana Reborn. That's the only one we have. If you ask of the presidents that have come and gone, what films do we have on them? None. But you must have that material to serve as a resource for a new incoming president to watch and learn. This thing happened, that thing happened, this thing happened, that happened. Okay, so for ABC reasons, this is why this person was removed as, this is why this person lost as whatever. If you did a documentary and kept those documentaries, people come to office and they will learn. They will now begin to see that, hey, this person did this, went the wrong way and eventually kicked himself out of power. I should not go that same way. And it's only film that can tell you that. And so on and so forth. It also gets people to really rekindle their patriotic faith in the country. Because why is it that this match is just coming? Before you realize, it starts showing on television. At long last, the battle has ended. And Ghana, our beloved country, is free forever. People watch it and just get inspired by it. That's what film does. And we don't have it. Or if even we have it, we don't show it. Where do we show it? One time, some guy was quarreling, they were talking about best Ghanaian footballer of all time. And, as usual, people were talking about Baba Yara, about Agrifin, about Abedi Pele, about this, Asamoah Gyan, and the rest. Do you have archives of them? You don't have it. So that you can show the matches and let them see.
And do the
we talk about Pele and Maradona. They have archives of what they did. You can see 1970 World Cup. They have a full film of the world at its feet. With Pele, Tostao, Paulo Cesar, people who played football at that time and what they did and for which reason we still eulogize them. It's archives that can do that. Look at public servants that have run this country. From the days of A.L. Edu, Kojo Botio, Kofi Bako, and all those people down through, to today. How many of them have we documented? Principal secretaries, now chief directors. How many of them have we documented as to the work they do? And this is the work of filmmakers. This is where we do not only just create drama, tell stories. No, we also do documentaries. Documentaries of what you have done already that must be kept for the succeeding generation to see and enjoy and learn from. Must be relevant, must be straight to the point, must be succinct, must have respect, must have some dignity and integrity and all those things put together so that the person watches not only just learns or gathers information, but the person is cultured. You change the person's character by what the person watches. Now people will begin to think that, hey, so if there was this documentary of Kwabro Kain, Ike Nyame, Faisal Hewani, and all these people, what is there that I can learn from? You don't have it. If you talk about A4 Sutherland, people only know A4 Sutherland by her books. What documentary do you have of her? None. But these are people we need to have their documentaries. What they did that are there. Professor Nketia died recently. If you ask of any documentary on him, we don't have it as a country. And you see, there are times they expect that it's filmmakers who will come. No. Institute of African Studies, for instance, should have a budget sitting every year to making documentaries. Documentaries of East African studies. Okay, reduce it to Ghana. Ghana studies. Ghana studies. Ghana history. Ghana culture. Ghana geography. Ghana this. Ghana that. Do you have documentaries of them? None. So if you are a researcher doing work in any area of any sector of this country, you don't have archival material to fall on. I mean, how can we live in a world, today's world, without archives, without digitized archives that you can easily access with a pen drive? Oh, it's not the best. But that is our work. And if they allow us, and if institutions and organizations and even the ministries started thinking about doing documentaries of their work, of icons of their sectors, we will have a lot of work to do as filmmakers, as people in this film industry. Okay. And it will help us. Okay. Football, tourism, anything. Just mention it. Chieftaincy. Look at chieftaincy. We always say that chieftaincy is the bedrock of our culture. How much of chieftaincy documentary do we have? We don't have it. If you talk about our rites of passage, child naming ceremony, propitiation rights, puberty rights, marriage, divorce, funeral, all these things. Do we have documentaries of them? We don't have. So you get people recreating their own new world, new life, because there's nothing to fall onto, and that is why the Ghanaian identity keeps getting diluted by the day. Because if you're talking about Ghanaian identity, yes, we have a diverse culture, thankfully. So we have 52 ethnicities in Ghana. We speak 57 languages. Okay. Now, have we done any documentary on even languages? We haven't done it. You can actually, get they say Bugum Festival. Bugum Festival is actually the fire festival of the Dagomas, the Dagbon area. Do you have a documentary of it? It's the Ashanti region that has tried and has been able to document interesting material of Akwesidae, Daekesie, the instrument of the chief of the king, and the funeral of the king, have been able to do all these things and document them. It is very important that you document these things, and not only in film, in writing, in visual arts, of painting, of sculpturing, of this, so many things can be done of our arts.